Being Ian is a Canadian animated television series that aired from 2005 to 2008. The show centers around a 12-year-old boy named Ian Kelly who aspires to be a filmmaker. The series combines elements of comedy and adventure, and it often features Ian's imaginative daydreams, which are depicted as mini-movies within the episodes. I loved this show growing up, as the concept of his daydreams being portrayed as little movies felt relatable to me as a kid who experienced the same things, constantly using my imagination to make the world around me seem more interesting. I also enjoyed the angle of Ian being obsessed with filmmaking and his camera, just because I personally like shows where the protagonist has a special interest or hobby that they enjoy and are known for. Although his family is mostly indifferent towards his creativity, which is a constant source of frustration for him. Aside from this, Ian is a typical sitcom child. Most plots involve him either failing at an elaborate scheme or trying desperately to survive in a world that does not seem to fit his ideals. When I tell you I related to that line so much as a kid. Anyway, the show ran on the YTV network and on QUBO, which is where I watched it, and was created by Ian James Corlett, who based the character of Ian Kelly on his own experiences and dreams of becoming a filmmaker. The series is known for its unique animation style, blending 3D and 2D in a natural way, witty humor that oftentimes goes over the heads of kids, and the way it portrays the trials and tribulations of growing up. The main cast of the show, aside from Ian, is his doting dad, Ken Kelly, who owns a music shop called Kelly's Keyboards, his mom, Vicky, his oldest brother, Kyle, who bullies him most of the time and is overall just a supremely lazy individual, and his other brother Corey, who is honestly just really dumb and follows whatever Kyle does. Ian also has two best friends named Tyrone, who is the level-headed, reasonable one, and Sandy, who is sort of a tomboy, if you couldn't tell. They do their best to help Ian deal with whatever shenanigans he's facing throughout the show. Ian's family also have a dog, if you could even call it that. In the premiere episode of the series, Ian and his friends are sitting in class anxiously waiting to get their essay grades back from the teacher. Ian is wearing a tux because he's a goofy goober, but also probably because he imagines the experience of waiting to see if he passed as comparable to waiting to hear his name called out for Best Film at the Academy Awards. Also, how did I just now notice they go to Celine Dion High School? Anyway, Tyrone gets a B+, Sandy gets an A, and Ian unfortunately ends up getting an F, which we learn is due to his brothers writing booger all over his paper. This causes Ian to crash out on a bunch of kindergartners and swear revenge on his brothers, before Tyrone and Sandy suggest he get revenge by ignoring them, so they eventually give up on trying to prank him. At the dinner table, Ian says out loud what his brothers did to his paper, and his parents just don't care. His dad laughs about it, and his mom simply asks Kyle why they are picking on him. She doesn't even tell them to stop, which is honestly classic. I don't expect anything more from a cartoon mom. After dinner, Ian goes to his room to rewrite his essay, and his brothers realize that he is putting on a facade of calmness to get them to stop pranking him, which doesn't work because they simply double down by calling him and letting him know they took his camera hostage, forcing him to go to school, deliver their newspapers, and wash their car, all while dressed like a girl, in order to get it back. Ian tells his friends that ignoring them isn't working, leading to them all agreeing to come up with a prank to get revenge on his brothers.
If I don't get Kyle and Corey but good, those goofs will never leave me alone.
I'm down.
Tyrone!
Sorry, Sandy, but you just don't mess with another man's bling bling.
Word up.
Don't say that.
They go to Ian's house to come up with some prank ideas. Tyrone suggests eating their lunch, while Sandy proposes dyeing their hair pink while they're asleep. Ian isn't too fond of these ideas and decides to get help from someone else, someone more sinister who could come up with a truly diabolical prank. His grandma. They get to talking and she tells him the best way to prank someone is to find their weakness and exploit it. Ian takes this information and goes home to do some research.
Can I borrow some money?
No. Can I borrow some money?
No. Can we borrow some money? No.
There's gotta be a clue in here somewhere.
Once he realizes their weakness, he devises a plan to create a mystery book with a fake treasure hunt in it, which he will give to his brothers. They will think they are hunting for treasure, when in reality the map will lead them straight into a poison ivy patch.
And victory will be mine. Cry havoc and let slip.
Ian, go to bed!
Yes, Mom. Cry havoc and let slip the dogs of war.
Ian, now!
The next day, Ian tells them about the treasure and they take the book to go hunt for it. However, since the boys are gone, Ian's dad forces him to go to the music store to prepare for a midnight sale he's having. While Ian is polishing pianos, his brothers are out in the wilderness searching for the treasure together. As expected, they have no idea what they're doing as they can barely follow the most basic directions on the page. While at work, Ian's friends pull up and he tells them about his master plan. Tyrone points out that Ian's plan is kind of stupid.
So you've tricked them into going on a hike while you do their chores?
It sounded better the way I said it.
While Sandy mentions that leading his brothers into the woods alone is stupidly dangerous, but Ian thinks they'll be fine because they have a map. Eventually, Ian's mom starts to worry about the brothers because they have been gone for a real long time. However, her husband basically says, "Screw the kids, my piano sale is more important," while he shakes his wife like a maraca for some reason. Influenced by his mom's concerns, Ian also begins to worry, thinking that she is right and they should have returned hours ago. He starts to daydream scenarios that might have happened to them, such as them actually stumbling upon real treasure in the area and getting caught by a booby trap. This causes Ian to ditch the store to go look for them. Once he gets to the woods, he finds his brother's sweater laying in a bush, which he took off because he was hot. But the discovery causes Ian to think the worst and that his brothers are in danger. Ian finds his brothers and is relieved to see them okay, but quickly realizes that the two idiots didn't follow the map into the poison ivy like intended, so he has to lead them there himself. Once they get there, he tells them the treasure is located in the weeds, leading to Dumb and Dumber diving directly into the poison ivy. Once they are in, he lets loose that the weeds are actually poison ivy, leading to them scratching themselves like crazy and Ian laughing at them. A satisfying ending if I do say so myself.
Ooh.
Dude! Pirate treasure!
What? You just tricked me, didn't you?
Never mind. Apparently it runs in the family and Ian is just as stupid as they are. Speaking of stupid, at the music store, Ian's father opens the door for his midnight sale, but no one shows up. So his wife asks him if he told anyone about the sale, and this was his response.
Oh, don't be ridiculous. That would spoil the surprise. Any second now.
Once at home, the boys apologize to their dad for not being there to help him with the midnight sale while they're all still suffering from the effects of the poison ivy. Seriously, they don't address treating them in this episode at all. And the episode ends with his store getting robbed because they left it abandoned with one employee who is so sick that he's basically drugged out of his mind and doesn't do anything to stop it. This episode was decent. It sets the tone for the rest of the series and introduces you to all the important characters while giving proper insight into how they all behave and their usual interactions with the star of the show, Ian. However, I thought the second episode was by far funnier. In the second episode, Ian wakes up excited to see a movie that just came out called The Hemorrhage 2, but when he gets out of bed, he falls flat on his face because his brother Corey superglued his shoes to the floor. This forces Ian to leave his room on ice skates because all his other shoes are glued, prompting his mom to ask why he's wearing skates. Ian is then faced with a difficult decision of snitching or staying silent. He ultimately decides to snitch because no one ever told him that snitches get stitches, and his dad forces Kyle to give Ian his shoes to go to school. If you're wondering why Kyle is getting punished and not Corey, it's because he's the oldest and shouldn't have let it happen according to Ian's dad, which, I guess, man, whatever. However, Ian ends up falling down the stairs due to Kyle's shoes being too big for him, and when Kyle laughs at him, he's forced to drive Ian to school by his dad. I like how his dad decides to punish him for laughing at his brother falling, but in the first episode, he literally laughed when Kyle sabotaged Ian's grade. Anyways, on the way to school, Ian is recording the ride but gets dumped by Kyle once he spots a girl he likes walking. So Ian meets up with his friends and Kyle turns around to pick up the girl. She finds Ian's camera and thinks it belongs to Kyle, letting him know that she likes guys who direct movies. Later in the day at the music shop, Ian asks his parents if he can watch The Hemorrhage 2. They tell him it sounds violent, but he reassures them it's not, and they already let him watch the first one.
And Ty's dad's gonna take us. And besides, you let me see Hemorrhage 1.
No, he didn't.
Oh yeah.
So his parents end up saying no due to his dumb mistake. Once Ian gets home, he decides to try and make his own gory movie if he can't see Hemorrhage 2, but when he tries to get his camera, he realizes it's gone. He freaks out, then Kyle shows up with it and gives it to him. Ian gets suspicious of Kyle for acting nice out of nowhere, but Kyle tells him he needs his help to impress the girl he met since Ian knows about movies and filmmaking. Ian agrees to help on the condition that Kyle bullies Corey and forces him to unglue all of Ian's shoes. For the first date, Ian suggests Kyle take her to the movies, that way he can see Hemorrhage 2 without his parents knowing. His plan works as he gets to watch the movie, but he has to coach Kyle on what to say to the girl whenever she asks him a movie-related question. Kyle wants to bring Ian on more dates to help him out, which annoys Ian because he's a chronic virgin.
Another date? We've already seen Hemorrhage 2. What else could you possibly do with a girl?
Gee, I don't know, Ian. What else could he possibly want to do with the girl? It's a mystery! Ian ultimately agrees but forces Kyle to give his friends a ride in his car. Why does Ian imagine himself with a do-rag? I have no clue. However, Kyle brings Ian to the mall with them and Ian starts to get tired of it.
What star does this outfit make me look like?
Gee, I'll have to think.
Tell her she looks like Shrek. I'm bored.
After the date, the girl says she wants Kyle to make her a movie with her as the star. So for the remainder of the episode, Ian has to shoot video of her doing the most basic things like talking about herself, sitting in some flowers, riding a bike, and having a dancing, all while Kyle pretends to be the director. Not gonna lie, this sounds like the most boring movie ever, but I'm not gonna judge. The girl wants one of the scenes in the movie to be her petting a dog, so Ian brings his dog, but she says ew to petting him because he has 3 legs. This prompts Ian to make some slight changes to the movie in post-production to get revenge, which I don't blame him for. I mean, who says that to someone else's pet? At the premiere the next day, Ian gives the movie to Kyle so that the movie can be played inside the packed theater. But once the movie starts, we find out that Ian replaced all her scenes with his dog wearing a wig that looks like her, which causes the whole theater to erupt with laughter and embarrasses the girl. Once it ends, she gets mad at Kyle and storms out while Kyle chases Ian for ruining his chances with the bimbo. This episode was pretty good. I didn't understand why Kyle put so much effort into trying to be with this girl. I mean, he made a whole movie just for her, which is pretty insane. But nonetheless, it was still pretty enjoyable. Lastly, before I end the video, I wanted to mention an episode called Band O' Brothers, solely because it had a song in it that I remember was stuck in my head long after the time I stopped watching this show.
I need you here with me. It makes no difference, can't you see? 'Cause you look like an angel to me.
Oh, baby, baby.
Ooh, baby, you drive me crazy.
Oh, baby, baby.
Ooh, baby, you drive me crazy. I need you here with me.
Oh, baby, baby.
That song was unironically a banger, and if anyone else remembers liking it, let me know in the comments. That's the end of this video. Make sure to like and subscribe if you want to see more QUBO videos, and thanks for watching.